What's up everyone? Welcome to another lesson. Today we are diving into post-production. We already have a strong image, the composition is there, details are there, colors are almost there, but still we can do one thing. We can increase the production value of our image, and with AI that's like walking in the park. We'll make the people look better, we'll make the greenery look better, and just bring this image home. So let's get at it. Okay, so we start with this raw render that we had in the previous lesson. We have it at the very bottom of the stack. Next up we have the sky replacement. And here actually I think I can show you something cool. Let me run a quick time-lapse of how we did the sky, those clouds. We start off with simple soft brush strokes. This is the direction of the clouds to work with our composition. And at the time of making this image, Photoshop Beta allowed us to import an image while generating. We take advantage of that and suggest the direction we want to go. Right now, you can create clouds in Midjourney. You can also do it with regular Firefly, but that was a fun test to do. It isn't working that bad, honestly. We get a head start for Firefly. When we have a solid base, everything is fairly easy. From this point on, it's a very organic and, I must admit, pretty pleasant process. We think about the clouds compositionally, without any limitation of looking for a specific cloud image. There's some back and forth, but as you can see, we get into a nice point fairly quickly. At this stage, the background is roughly where we want it to be, so we can move on. The next step is to increase the brightness of the foreground. Actually, those boxes we put near the camera are casting too much shadows. We realized it after rendering out, but that's fine. The information is there, we can just lift those shadows a bit. We want to read the details in those areas a little bit more. Next up, some minor adjustment to the leaf. There were some issues with the 3D model that we haven't fixed before the rendering. And now, we are focusing on people. There will be quite a few steps here. Nowadays, when working with anima people, it is a standard thing, we need to book some time for post-production to improve them. Obviously, we'll enhance them with Magnific, but we also want to change a few things. We want to introduce more diversity, we want to play with colors, everything that we covered in the scene overview lesson. So, step by step, we brighten this character. We change skin color from a dead man's blue to a warmer tone. We adjust the brightness of the woman on the left. Then we fix the hair of the girl on the right. And we come back to the guy on the left again. We change him to an Asian, just to introduce a bit more diversity. The same method as we used in the first lesson of guided generation. We fix his hair in a few steps and darken his clothes. He looks really off sitting there in all white. You may think those steps are unreasonable and nobody will notice, but believe us, that couldn't be further from the truth. People do notice and it's actually a very low effort to do so. We are adding some color to the headscarf as well. Generally, we want to add some warm accents to the people. This should nicely correspond to the architecture and make a cohesive color palette. We increase the brightness of the jacket and it immediately becomes better. It starts to pick some blues which nicely correspond to the sky and the glass. We are also getting rid of these light spots on the fingers. People in the foreground matter the most. That's why we put so much love to them at this point. We adjust the contrast for this guy to make it more interesting. Then we use Firefly and turn him into a black guy. There's a good mix of people diversity-wise, so we can be quite happy about it. That's what we're looking for. Moving on. We have some adjustments mainly for the greens and yellows to tone them down a bit. And finally we focus on the building and the feeling of the glass. It's rather difficult to get a nice looking glass building straight from the rendering, so when we have a similar situation, we help ourselves with different rendering passes. We focus separately on refraction and reflection. First off, we are trying to create a bit more depth inside using the refraction pace. And here we want to be honest with you. We didn't put almost anything inside the interiors, which would help a lot making this image better overall. We are hoping for Firefly to generate some visual noise inside, but unfortunately this didn't happen. You can see a few passes that we blended with a low opacity, but we'd hope for more. Anyway, it's good to know there's a limitation of Firefly and indeed you need to take care of it in 3D. All is good though, we'll introduce lots of depth with reflection next. We are reintroducing reflection on top of refraction. We are working with a few things here: hue, saturation, curves, more curves, and even more curves. Essentially, we are introducing some gradients, some light gradients, which is much easier to do in post. You can experiment with the glass and how the building looks. If we look at the before and after, it's a bit more punchy. Some areas get more reflections, making them appear more spatial. Previously, the lobby looked flatter, but now the glass stands out more. These are mostly nuances, but they affect the overall perception of the image. Moving on, another adjustment to the glass. There's a couple of them, let me turn them off first. We actually removed the box that's reflecting in the corner of the building. That's a little mistake on our side. We fixed that and introduced a few curves to make the brightness of the glass more diverse. It's not much, just slight fluctuations of a few percent. So we see the before and after. Before is pretty uniform and after has this micro variation that seems more natural. Those are all minor fixes, just curves, but in the grander scheme of things, again, makes a powerful image. Moving on, we return to the people again. We add warm tones. We add similar warm tones here to the concrete. It's literally 20% soft light, so it's barely noticeable, but I think it affects the perception. Nice. And finally, we approach the last part of this post-production. It's time to ask Magnific a little favor. So at this point we start enhancing with Magnific. We do a basic pass, 2x upscale, which obviously significantly improves the people. But also some weird artifacts start to pop up, and that's fine. We'll work on smaller areas and target what's wrong. We even replaced the boy's head entirely because it was so unfortunate. We do a 4x upscale here. Just to remind you, we upload half resolution image and run it with 4x upscale. That output will give AI more freedom to fix things, especially on those tiny people. When there's issue with people, always do a 4x upscale, it should fix 90% of the issues. And indeed, it seems better now. Another 4x pass, this time for the plant. It breaks that CG look we had. Now it's basically almost okay everywhere, down to the level of single pixels. Just some minor fixes left to do, like changing the pupils so that the person looks more toward the action instead of the camera. This is yet another small adjustment, but pretty important and we don't want to skip this. We are naturally drawn to people's faces, and that's something we always fix last. Almost getting there. Next up, we're adding an extra branch here, adjusting the overall brightness and slightly darkening. We're also applying a camera raw filter. This is a trick we shared ages ago, but it's pretty important. You can adjust the clarity of the image, get the commercial punchy look, but most importantly, blend 3D with Magnific a bit better. And it's definitely worth remembering. And again, a few more changes regarding the people, especially their expressions. Like making the Asian person look happier and the black person look happier. We need to make sure they don't look too grumpy. We add some extra contrast on the glass. We also re-rendered a part of the facade with a less reflective material. It was relatively late in the process that we saw it, but eventually we improved it. We also brightened the building a bit and again returned to the people. We enhanced just this area. Use Firefly and we are almost there. We are coming back to the clouds. We decided to change the clouds to something that's compositionally similar, but less stretched out. More like a few cumulus clouds along this line. Additionally, we tweaked this tree a bit because the cloud replacement started to affect it. And the last thing here was the headscarf, which looked like a kitchen towel. We changed it using the enhancer. We exported this region and prompted Magnific to change it into a silk headscarf. And just like that, it got much more attractive. And that's basically the end of this post-production. I hope you enjoyed it. There were lots of micro adjustments and perhaps it was not organized in 100%, but this is how a normal post-production looks like, at least on our side. This is the level of care and all of the techniques. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one.